Hello and welcome if you're watching the broadcast. Welcome back to those who've been with me before, and welcome anew to those who this is your first time. And everybody, yeah, please share the message. And I thank you for doing that and for the well wishes that you also sent to me regarding how I get a chance to do it. Sharing other people's message, that's the key too, okay? Hey, David, welcome. So we're going to get started in less than a minute, 12 o'clock. I always start at noon on the dot, so noon Eastern. So, but like I say, it's noon somewhere, just like people say it's happy hour somewhere. Always, it is always about, making sure that you get the use out of your time according to what your capacity is for intake. Because the only time we can actually reach someone is when they're open to being reached. So we're starting now. And, today's topic, I call them the Siamese twins, right? Hate and love, because the two have to be together for some reason, but, that's not my making, but they go together. Hey, Allison. And so what I wrote in the promo, as you'll see in the intro, it says we see and hear it in regard to relationships all the time. We hate someone for breaking our hearts, okay? Yet, when we take responsibility for the joy that comes into our lives, we can see that we sought to make that person fit and boost or cement or complete ourselves, like we used to see in that movie, You Complete Me. So we sought to bring this person into our lives, and then we decide that they hurt us. And so notice in my intro, in my promo, I'm going to put a spin on it. I did not say I'm going to put a positive spin on it. Okay? I'm just going to put a spin on it, on how we have to look at hate and love as Siamese twins. And we can connect them at the head or any body part that we want. But the truth is, they will always and ever be connected because of our personal experiences in our lives. As we experience new things, as we bring new people into our lives, it changes our course and our path. And if we believe in God the way we should, and I'm not forcing any kind of religion or belief on you, as I always say to people, choose your messengers carefully. I'm glad to be one of your messengers, but I know that I'm not everybody's messenger, and I choose mine carefully as well. I don't allow everyone to be my messenger as in terms of who I'm going to continue to follow. Sometimes they can be my messenger because sometimes the messenger brings you a message that you can't use. So, stay open to everybody's message. So I write stuff down so I can keep within the time constraints, because I know a lot of people are on lunch breaks and stuff when they tune in. So you see me reading, it's because that's going to keep me from getting too passionate about the topic and not delivering the message. And see, that's what we can do sometimes. Not just speakers, but most people, we can get so passionate about our message that we don't deliver the content. So and so maybe I should reword that and say we can get so passionate that we don't deliver our message. So always remember, as you'll see as I move on, is that it's about finding a way to be calm, because the key is that your message has to be delivered. It's not just about you showing how passionate you are. Your message has to be delivered, okay? So the truth is, we nurture, when going back to that person, that hate, okay? In my book starting today, I put hate, H-A-T-E, hurt attached to expectation. When we are realistic about who people are and what they might do, we don't allow ourselves to be put in a position that forces us to be negative. Instead, we L-O-V-E, we let ourselves value everyone. So see how we force ourselves to be negative with the expectations that we have of other people. We nurture a false expectation of who someone was. They showed us who they were. We ignored it. Then it slapped us. And now it's their fault. Think about it. The pain is really from the time you kept them on board. And many of my friends know that I have a term that I call you kept them on the menu. So the pain is usually from the amount of time that you kept them on the menu. If you get somebody out of your life quickly, there's not much hurt. It's like, oh, this person wasn't right for me. I got them out of my life. It's the one that you invested your time into the relationship, and again, we'll use the love relationship of dating. And so, once you've been dating somebody for 3, 4, 6 months, a year, 2 years. See, the longer you date them, the longer you keep them on the menu. Now, when things don't go the way you wanted them to go, now you switch from just, okay, we need to go our separate ways. So you hate them. And that's hurt attached to expectation, because you let a lot of stuff happen along the way. You could have made some choices along the way. That's why let's go and look back at the word love, L-O-V-E. Let ourselves value everyone. We can learn more from a negative role model. I want to put these two Siamese twins together. We can learn more from a negative role model sometimes because we focus on not replicating their spirit. And it's a conscious choice, and should therefore serve notice to us that we can make the decision to let people into our lives as well as control what they bring. We can make the decision to let people into our lives as well as control what they bring, especially how long we let them settle. And let's look at that word settle. Settle has a definition of balancing the calm. Settle can be balancing the calm, yet it also connotes a disposition of personal acceptance. See, so when you settle, that can be personal acceptance of who somebody is. And using that definition, we sometimes enable and surrender who we are and what we believe to keep the ones we want in our lives. So sometimes we settle for having somebody in our lives. In other words, I want to have a man. I want to have a woman. I want to have this type of person in my life. So we settle for what they bring, all of the baggage that they bring, and then we later go on to blame them. And what I call we settle through an unsettled existence that later becomes hate. H-A-T-E, hurt attached to expectation. See, we settled and kept them in because we say, well, no, this is the person that's going to be able to do this for me. It's why people stay in abusive relationships. So, and in fact, I'm glad I brought that up real quickly, because the thing is, sometimes you have to realize when you lump everything into a basket of hatred, these people are this way, and that, you're lumping everybody in regardless of their situation. So when we just decide, your ex is this, and I hate this type of person, there's some people in relationships that they can't get out. We always, they need to get out of that abusive relationship. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know why they're in it. It's going to come down to having to allow people to be who they are just as much as we want people to allow us to be who we are. It's not easy, y'all. But in the long run, it's the requirement. And like I said, when we don't settle for somebody, we don't settle for just having a person in our lives, then we have the option and the opportunity to settle into the calm that we deserve and that we should have in our lives. Remember, with love, L-O-V-E, letting ourselves value everyone, sometimes the cure needs the cancer. Sometimes the cure needs the cancer. And that's why love and hate are the Siamese twins. They're together because we sometimes don't see what we need to do until we attach to what we cannot do. What I'd like to see us do is a better job of not staying attached and not focusing the attachment on the cancer, but get the focus on the cure. In fact, there's the movie called A Cure for Wellness. I think it's either A Cure for Wellness or A Cure for Happiness. And the funny thing is, the movie is about the fact that this guy has these people paying this money to stay at this retreat place where he's telling that he's going to cure, and I believe it is cancer that he's curing. And the thing is, he's actually focusing on keeping them ill, so that they can think that he has the cure. And I'm not going to totally review the movie for you. If you haven't seen it, it's a good one. It's not fast-paced, but I enjoyed it. A Cure for Wellness really turns out to be a good movie. Let me move on, okay? So let's take another look at hate. Let's go with that last statement I made, is that we sometimes settle through an unsettled existence that becomes hate, hurt attached to expectation. So let's take another look at hate and apply it to some of the political unrest the injustice and the separation that we're experiencing in our company and our world today. It's not new. This unrest, this political unrest, the injustice, the separation, it's not new. It's news. You see, older people like to champion the fact that things were not that way back in the day. The truth is, older people, me included, in terms of being an older person, but this is not something that I've been saying. But the truth is, things have always been this way. There's always been this political unrest, this injustice, this separation. It's always been there. The thing is, we didn't have access to the fire because we were so busy dealing with our local flames. We didn't have access to the fire because we were busy putting out our local flames. We didn't know what was going on in another part of the country here in the United States. We didn't know what was going on in another part of the world. So therefore, we didn't see it as a big issue. We saw it locally, and we were just dealing with it on a local level. That's why also, I always say I like to wear what I believe, and everything I live my life on offense, and I don't make I make as few moves as possible that I haven't premeditated in some way. Okay, so I've got on my firefighter shirt today, and it's from Fire. I'm dedicating today's message to Firehouse E as in Edward 37. They're called the Heart of Harlem. Okay, and it was a gift to me from a good friend of mine, Brian Usher, who's the brother of my dear friend Beth Usher and Kathy, and then the father, Brian Usher. But as it turns out, Brian is a young firefighter in this firehouse, which just happens to be across the street from the projects that I grew up in. And just in conversation with his sister and an organization we're friends through, we had this conversation, and in the process of finding out, of having that conversation, what I'm saying is we were separated. They're in Connecticut. I'm now in Charlotte, but I'm from New York. There was nothing in common that we had until we started discussing our lives. So we calmly started talking, and then I found out that her brother was in that firehouse, because I said I'm from Harlem, and she, oh, my brother's in Harlem, and bam, right across the street. Okay, so I'm dedicated to the Firehouse E37, but to all the firefighters in our lives. In fact, I want to give special shout out to the ones that I know. That's Brian Usher, also my nephew, Titus King, and then my friend of mine, Lady D. Wells, her nephew is now a firefighter. He's newly inducted into the firefighter family, and I just don't know his name. But Lady D, I'm giving a shout out to him. So, so I want to shout out to all the firefighters in our lives. Those are the physical ones, but now let's get back to the spiritual firefighters. Those are the people who support us. Because as much as I may speak about the fact that good news doesn't sell or get the ratings, I recognize and appreciate that awareness gives us choices. Awareness gives us choices. So these things have been going on through the end of time or the beginning of time. There's always been this political unrest, and there's always been injustice, and there's always been separation. But now we are seeing it through the news, and I have to recognize and appreciate it now that I'm aware. That gives me new choices. Okay, so a few months ago or last month, I did a post that said, just because I don't mention an issue doesn't mean that I don't support an ideology. See, I want my page to always be about staying positive. I don't have to post all the things that's going on in the world, all of the negative stuff, but, whether it's, our politicians tweeting or somebody fighting up against the cops and all of that kind of stuff. I don't have to post that. It's everywhere. I'm trying to post the antidote. But I also want to say that that's why I did that post that said, just because I don't mention an issue doesn't mean I don't support an ideology. So I support a lot of the stuff that we're going through, but everybody has their own lane to stay in. And it's somebody's job to be at the front line and protesting and fighting police shields and throwing stuff. That's just somebody else's life. But we always have to realize that there's got to be somebody calm. There's got to be somebody that we have on the inside taking our case to the front, to where things a difference can be made. And it's not an easy job, but if we all just recognize that, and if it's your job to be that one that's out there loud and protesting and and giving out flyers and everything. Please do your job, but don't think that you're alone. Okay, don't think that you're alone. Every cause that there is has an army, and not every person in the army fights the battle in the same way. So recognize that you're not alone. You know, my bigger mantra is that we're all an important piece of the puzzle. We're either a small, medium, or large piece of the puzzle. But no matter what size of the piece of the puzzle you think you are, without you, the puzzle is incomplete. So please stand for what you need and what you need to be accomplished. And sometimes the hurt attached to expectation. Check this out. Is the expectation seeking a confirmation of how or why we hurt. Hurt attached to expectation. See, sometimes we're looking for a reason to justify. Yeah, see, that's why I'm hurt. Look at how they're doing. Look at how he or she is treating me. Look at what's going on in the world. That's why I hate them. We're hoping that they don't change their mind, because we're looking to make sure that we justify this negative energy that we're expending toward them, because that's what sometimes builds us a better fan base, gets us more support, and we get more people on board to support us. Sometimes we're just fueling the anger instead of trying to douse it. And so what we'll say is, I don't want to like certain people or situations. So I gather as much ammunition as possible to drown out any possibility that they have the right to disagree with me. See, that's what I'm saying. I got to stick to my notes because I get passionate about the topic. But I have written down this great message, okay? And so when I say that we are seeking a confirmation or how or why we hurt, what it is I don't want to like certain people or situations. So I gather as much ammunition as possible to drown out any possibility that they have the right to disagree with me. And as long as they're meeting my expectation, guess what? I'll continue to meet theirs. Because since both of us want to dislike one another, we want the other person to say something so that we can stay where we are firm on our point, it becomes self-fulfilling. I have every intention of not agreeing with you, so I just need to hear that ignorance that you're spouting again, and I won't hear it as if it makes sense. I only want to confirm that you're still against me. And once I've got that confirmed, good, I can stay against you. So neither of us have listened to either side and tried to find out what the deal is. And I say still take a stand for what you believe and who you believe in. But my request to you is that you take the venom out of your disagreement. Take the venom out of your disagreement, because it's hurting you. And we can't win a long battle when you're hurt. We're in a long battle, which will only be won by calmer heads prevailing. And that's what we all want to happen in the first place. So see your value on the link of that chain of calm. As you meet people with opposing positions, know that you cannot win them over by proving them wrong. They will have the same veil and the same wall up that you do, and trying to ignore any sense that you're making. Listen for what you feel they veered off the path of your righteousness. Listen for where you feel they veered off the path of your righteousness. And don't you remember seeing that, why the actors on the screen or in a play don't know how much they have in common? Because they are both too busy letting other people poison their communication intake by telling them how separate they are. See, we see it on the screen in the movies and at the plays. You say, oh man, if they knew that they were really, that person's the one that's lying. They're actually cool. They actually got more in common. Oh, I hope they get it together. That's the same thing that's going on in our lives. We're letting someone communicate to us how different we are and how separate we are, instead of shining and showcasing our similarities, because we refuse to take them in. And so even as I was looking at that, my mind wandered to the poem, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And the words, we give a lot of time, Maya Angelou wrote the poem, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. But check this out. She didn't come up with those words. The words were actually first written by Paul Laurence Dunbar. And in his poem, Sympathy. Here's how he used them in his poem Sympathy. I know why the caged bird sings, ah me. When his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars and he would be free, it is not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. I know why the caged bird sings. That was Paul Laurence Dunbar, and that's not the whole poem. I'm going to post the link that takes you there if you'd like to see it when I do the repost, okay? But when extrapolated by Maya Angelou, she adopts Paul Laurence's phrase by calling her young self a caged bird. And what's her cage? It's what keeps her from her freedom. And here's the list: racism, sexism, insecurity, poverty, abuse. Imagine that, huh? Those are the things that are keeping the caged bird from singing when Maya Angelou rewrites the poem or pens the poem, but it's an extrapolation of Sympathy by Paul Laurence Dunbar, and his bird is having the same song. So I'll post that link as well, as I say, but I'll continue to remind you that you're the bird too, and your song will best be heard when your lyrics are about love. See, your song will best be heard when your lyrics are love. Don't you hear sometimes people saying, "Oh man, these rappers, so much violence." So we can't hear it, that they've a lot of times got a great message. And sometimes the message can't be transferred with what they consider to be soft words. And so sometimes the message in the rapper's songs, and it's not every rapper, again, don't throw everybody in the same basket. It's a lot, but some of the message come out very strong and in the vocabulary, the vernacular of today's language. We've got music has always pushed the envelope. And with, when Marvin Gaye said, "Let's get it on," that was like, whoa, how dare you? Okay, so musicians and artists have always pushed the envelope as to what words are going to be accepted and acceptable in our interaction, in our vocabulary. So sometimes, listen to what the rappers are saying. Listen to some of those songs that you don't want to listen to, and just see if you can replace. I used to be artist in residence at Purdue University. Shout out to my Haraka writers. And what I said to them when they come to me with a poem, and they'd have the profanity and this and that, and I said, you know what? I said, tell me, can hell or damn be used in place of that word? I said, read it and see if it can. If it can't, keep the word in there. Keep the strong language in there. But try it with hell or damn and see how it comes out, and let me know if it still gets your message across. And I got to tell you, I would say 8 times out of 10, they would switch it over to hell or damn. Other times they didn't, because they said, no, the message I want needs to come out with this word. And that was fine. But the thing is, because now what I explained to them is that once you change that language, once you alter that language, you've just increased your audience. Because you've already got the people, maybe let's say in your age bracket or your economic bracket, you've already got them saying, yeah, you're our messenger. We need you to get that message out to people. But if you're only getting the message out to the people who are already supporting you, I don't even need to finish that sentence. You got that. If you're only getting the message out to the people who are supporting you, really all you're doing is strengthening their belief and their resolve. And that's not necessarily getting you to the solution. It's possibly getting you to the solution because, in that group, there could be somebody that makes the right move that you need to be made by getting it heard by someone on the inside. Okay, but yeah, your message, you want to expand your message so that as many people as possible. I don't want to have 2,000 followers. I want to have 500 of this type and 300 of that type and 107 of this type. You see that, I want to have the mix so that the message is going to a lot of different people in different walks of life, so that the truth of it can be spread. Because what happens if I'm only preaching hate, or even if I'm only preaching love, and again, the only people I'm preaching it to are the people who already accept the message. Well, who are they sharing it with? One another. And it's great that we're strengthening one another, but we need the message to strengthen somebody outside that boundary and say, hey, look, it's better over here. Come on over. Or, you know what? Maybe it's not better. What you got going on over there? And and let me go. Let me spend a day in the life. We see that with people at the job. Take your son to work, take your daughter to work. A day in the life. So all of that actually kind of makes sense. All right. So I'll post. Let me see what I want to. Let me get back to what I was saying. Oh, I want to remind you that your song will be heard when your lyrics are of love, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's what God intended. Light has to overcome the darkness, even if it takes all night to do so. Isn't that a great line? Light has to overcome the darkness, even if it takes all night to do so. We will do the same with love. Love will overcome hate, even if it takes our whole lifetime to fight it. It may come through for somebody else. Keep your head up and keep your spirit in the game. The Siamese twins, hate and love, will continue to coexist. But we do have the opportunity to let love be the dominating. I'll repost that link, like I say, where you'll see about Maya Angelou. I know why the Cageburg sings. This time, and before I go to try to post this, I'll read the comments and answer them because, a couple of weeks ago, technology decided not to let the message go through. And it's an important message that we share, and I appreciate you coming on. Remember, glue is GLUE. God's love undoes everything. It's Glue Wednesday, y'all. It's not about hump day. It's not about getting over. It's about keeping it together. Keep finding ways to keep it together and keep recognizing that your primary source of glue is in your mirror. Because without you, a lot of stuff can't happen. You ever had somebody say, "Oh, only you"? You see people say that to me all the time. "Only you, Sporty." Well, guess what? Without me, certain things would not get done. Likewise, when someone says only you, without your gift, certain things would not get done. So please get attached to your gift and get out there and share it. Know how valuable you are to all of us. All of us. Even when you see yourself as the smallest piece of the puzzle is incomplete without you. Please, please recognize that we can't put out the fire if we're only going to focus on the flame, the local flame, because the flame will ignite the next spark and the next amber, and it will grow. Well, what can we make glow? We can make love glow. We can make love grow. LOVE. Let ourselves value everything. Thank you. God bless you. And I'll see you next week. Remember, by the way, you can always put topics in the feed that you may want me to address. And again, this is not your channel for the political unrest. I'm not big posting on politics, but I do want to confirm to people that I'm not blind. I'm staying positive, but I'm not blind. And we can let calmer heads prevail by being one of the calmer heads. Thanks again. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.